So what your general lesson is going to look like for every class period. So let's get started. Okay, so I wrote like an 8-step lesson plan. So first, you start with your hello. And what that just means is, well, as you can see in this room, the kids will walk through this door. And so as they come in one by one, single file, like they're trained to do, you give them high fives each. Well, at least that's what I like to do. And they call it high touch. So I'm like, high touch. And I'll just, give every single kid one of those. But sometimes, you gotta vary it up. Put your hand way up here and, they'll jump for it. And it's kind of fun. And then they'll all walk in, they'll all sit down around here. And once they sit down, you do your greeting of, hello, how are you? Like every time, every day, every time you see your kids, you do that. They'll say, I'm fine, thank you, and you? And they have no idea what either the question means or the answer. So they're like, I'm fine, thank you, and you? And then you answer, I'm hungry, or I'm tired, or I'm sleepy. And then they'll all just raise their hands and be like, me too. And I'm like, you just said you were fine, you lying piece. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean, right? So, yeah, that's the hellos. So, after you say hello, you have 5 questions. And here are the 5 questions, real quick. You have, how's the weather? What day is it? What's the date today, with the month and the day? Got what season is it? And you put these answers on the board over here. They're magnets. They bring them over and put them in the correct spots. It's even color-coded. That's really cool. Then last question you have, what time is it? And so generally you can do this in 2 ways. You can either have like the whole class do it together. So if you ask how's the weather, everyone goes, it's sunny or something. Or you can have them do 5 questions for 5 people, and you can either do volunteers or just we have like a little box here. It's really old and stuff, but inside every child has a number and they have corresponding numbers in the box, so you can always just be like, okay, number 2, and so you get 5 kids. They'll answer them in the same order that you brought them up in. And some schools will do this in either the same, generally they're the same questions, but they might do 3 questions of the day or something. I don't know. This school likes to do 5, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, so after that, then you do the songs, and you got this little disc of 50 English songs, and you play it, and you might do like head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and everyone does the dance thing right over here. You can either have them make like a big circle, or just stand where they are, or make a big circle and sit down. There's various things. Every month you have to do a song, and every song has its own little like dance or something, and you have to make it up sometimes. And you can just kind of skip it because no one likes doing it, and it's just a huge waste of time. The only thing you can use a song for that's useful is one of 2 things. One, if the class is super it's early morning, everyone's tired, and they just don't give a crap about English today or something. Use a song, wake them up, move their bodies. That's always something kids like to do. Even if they don't really care for the song, they just love moving around anyway. Another thing is, if your lesson is highly involved with the song, that's good. Or you might even just choose a different song for the day to match the lesson. I did a lesson just about a week ago for the 6th grade about body parts hurting. I just said, my something hurts. So I chose all the body parts for the head, shoulders, knees, and toes song. Even if it was like eyes or my ears or my mouth hurts, some of that is kind of obscure, but whatever. They're just body parts. They learn the song better, so the next time they sing it, they actually have a clue what they're saying. That's great. So that's the song. Then you have the review. This is the review for the previous lesson. And then right here you see demo and new lesson. So first I'm going to show you is what one lesson typically looks like. So I have an example here. You write this on the board knowing full well the kids won't be able to read this unless they're like 6th graders who've gone to private English school, and that's just where their parents want to spend their money. That's great. So generally they can't read it, so you just kind of like point your hand as if they could anyway. I don't know why the school makes you do this. You could actually just never write anything on the board. It would be perfectly fine, but they're kind of good visual cues anyway. So let's see. How's the weather? And so, kids repeat you, and then you say it's. So you have a question and an answer, and usually with an answer you usually have a blank, and that blank will be filled with, I guess it's your choice, but usually there's some pretty obvious ones, like weather. You can't change too much. So we got, it's sunny, and you show these to the kids, one by one. It's windy, it's, snowy, it's rainy. Here's one that I threw in that wasn't in the lesson plan, but I thought, yeah, why not? It's stormy, sure, we say that. It's hot. and it's cold. The reason I threw in stormy was because, let's face it, if every day they say, how's the weather, and they have all these already in their heads, it's pretty much a review. But I actually just did this lesson about 10 minutes ago. So yeah, we did this. And so that could either be a review. You could start out with your class and just be, okay, let's do a review. And you'll just have that same thing on the board, the same cards, and you just kind of go through it like once or twice. Finish. Very quick. Then when you do a new lesson, which is just in the same format or whatever, like your new lesson could be, hello, how are you? And that would be your question. Your answer would be like, I'm blank, I'm sick, I'm hungry, I'm cold, I'm fat and ugly. I don't know, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just like that. But you want to introduce a new lesson with a demonstration. And when I say you want to do this, I mean it's because it's usually mandatory. But you have you and your homeroom teacher, which, you know, I'm obviously talking in an empty classroom by myself, but if there was another teacher here and our lesson for today was, how's the weather? We would do something a little exaggerated. Let me show you. Okay, so what you might do is like, it's a very simple lesson. There's not much you can do to play with. How do you ask about something about the weather in a creative way? You don't. But you can just be overly exaggerated with your gestures. So let's say I go up to the teacher and first I'll have the kids, you know, be like, all right, kids, 3, 2, 1, and do a sign. It's like action, like a director's thing. That's what I like doing. And then it's 3, 2, 1, action. And then it's like walk, 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 walk. And they say, oh, hello, something sensei. And then they'll be like, hello, Mike sensei. I'll be like, oh, how are you? I'm fine, and you? I'm great. Blah, blah, blah. Get all the formalities out of the way, and then you're like, oh, sensei. And then you look out the window. Ew, oh, wow. And just point like a lot, like, oh, how's the weather? How's the weather? How's the weather? And then the sensei will be like, oh, ooh, it's sunny. You know, just something really obvious, something really easy to understand. Okay, so let's see. I wonder if I could just do it like, no, it looks mirrored. Anyway, so hold on. All right, and we're back. So let's see, you got the demonstration, then you have the sensei tell the kids in Japanese what you just did, because obviously some kids won't understand what you do. Sometimes the demonstration is difficult, I understand, that's fine. Just making it fun too is a great way, because during this like halfway point in your schedule, they might already start being like, I'm losing interest, so a good demonstration that's funny is always a good way of perking their attention right up. So next, then you have the game. So once you drill this into their heads a billion times, which I can show you in a different video if you would like. But anyway, yeah. So then you move on to a game specified for the lesson. So I just did how's the weather today. So I'll just do one example. You print a lot of mini cards. You'll do this for many of your lessons, and one of each card, or like a bunch of each card, and you give. Let's say, okay, let's say karuta, okay? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. So you make them sit in small groups. You give each group one set of the cards. And then, what you do is you stand up here and make the kids kind of like do something in a pose like, okay, hands on your head. And they'll all put their hands on their head sitting. And then you say, okay, what's the question? How's the weather? And then you do the answer. It's... And then you go rainy, and then the kids will go, oh, boom, and they try to grab it, and then if they grab it, it's theirs. That's not the game I did, but the one I did is a little complicated to try and solo demonstrate holding a cell phone, but that's a simple game that I could have done at any point. So, demonstration with the game, if possible, is like, if it was that same game, I would do it with the teacher and maybe have a student volunteer. That's okay, that's pretty easy. And yeah, and then the teacher will obviously re-explain the game in Japanese, make sure everyone knows the rules. I've seen kids just they're just running around like this or wrestling or something because they have no idea and they don't give a anyway. So yeah, you do the game, then you do a quick review. You're like, okay, kids, stop having fun, sit down. Do you even know what you just did? And they usually have no idea. So you do like a quick review and it's like, okay, kids, say, how's the weather? And then you make them do maybe each one of these again. So it's like, question 1, 2, and they were like, how's the weather? It's sunny. How's the weather? It's snowy. And you just keep pointing until you're a little satisfied that they learned something today. And then you do goodbye. So what I tend to do is I have this would be a full room, by the way, all the way down to like here. Just this whole square would be about 40 kids almost. And I'd have them all stand up. It's kind of hectic. And I'll go class is finished. Thank you very much. And then they'll go, thank you very much, Mike Sensei, and any other senseis, etc. Okay, and then after that, see you. And then after, you're supposed to have them either line up at the door or maybe in front of every sensei and just once more before they leave, review. So this time, instead of you doing the answer, or whatever, you do the question. So, how's the weather? And then the student in front of you will say it's, and they'll choose whatever they want. It's sunny. Or then the next kid, how's the weather? It's nene. Very good. Next, it's how's the weather? It's nene. Okay, and until they're all gone, and you're like, get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, the adorable kids. But yeah, and that's basically what a lesson looks like. I know it was a little fast, a little rushed. I'm sorry.